Have you ever pushed yourself to the limit only to feel like you're still falling behind? The late nights, the early mornings, the never-ending to-do list. It's like a treadmill that never stops. You run faster, work harder, thinking that the next milestone will bring relief, but instead of feeling accomplished, you feel exhausted. Instead of progress, you feel trapped. Imagine squeezing a lemon dry, expecting more juice. The harder you push, the less you have to give. Yet society glorifies this, praising burnout, sleepless nights, and endless hustle while ignoring the cost. But the Stoics knew the truth. Work without purpose leads not to greatness, but to misery. In this video, we'll expose 7 ways overworking is secretly ruining your life, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And trust me, the last 2 are so destructive that you won't believe how much they've been holding you back. Grab a seat, relax, and let's dive in. If you find this valuable, like, subscribe, and join us in living a more stoic life. Number 1, you mistake busyness for fulfillment. Have you ever seen a hamster running on a wheel? It runs as fast as it can, pushing forward with all its energy, but no matter how hard it tries, it never actually gets anywhere. That's what happens when you mistake being busy for being fulfilled. You fill your schedule with endless tasks, meetings, and responsibilities, thinking you're moving forward, only to realize you're just running in circles. Here's the truth. Busyness is often just a distraction. It makes you feel important, productive, and in control. But if you never stop to ask why you're doing it, you might just be avoiding something deeper, like uncertainty, self-doubt, or fear of stillness. Stoicism teaches us that a meaningful life isn't about constant activity. It's about focusing on what truly matters. As Seneca wisely said, it is not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it. I used to wear my busyness like a badge of honor. Every day was packed, my to-do list was never-ending, and I convinced myself that exhaustion meant success. But one evening, after another 12-hour workday, I sat alone, drained, and asked myself, am I actually achieving anything meaningful, or am I just keeping myself busy to avoid the bigger questions? That moment forced me to realize that I wasn't truly progressing. I was just distracting myself. Why does being constantly busy leave you feeling unfulfilled? Because busyness without purpose is just noise. You can fill every hour of your day with tasks, but if those tasks aren't meaningful, they won't bring true satisfaction. Productivity should be a tool, not a coping mechanism for avoiding deeper introspection. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that fulfillment isn't about how much you do. It's about whether what you do actually matters. If you're too busy to enjoy life, reflect, or connect with what's meaningful, then what's the point? Here's how to break free from the cycle of busyness and find real fulfillment. Pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it matters, or just because it fills time? Replace quantity with quality. Focus on fewer, more meaningful tasks instead of overwhelming yourself with constant activity. Make space for stillness. Stop fearing downtime. Reflection and rest aren't wasted time. They're what allow you to live with intention. Redefine success. Instead of measuring your days by how much you do, measure them by the depth of what you experience and create. Mistaking busyness for fulfillment is like digging holes all day, but never planting anything. You're working hard, but there's no real growth. The Stoics remind us that true purpose comes from choosing intentional action over mindless movement. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by busyness, ask, am I truly building something meaningful or just running on a wheel? Choose to step off the cycle, slow down, and focus on what truly adds value to your life. Because fulfillment isn't found in how much you do, it's found in why you do it. Number 2, You tie your self-worth to work. Have you ever tried filling a jar with a hole at the bottom? No matter how much water you pour in, it never stays full. That's what happens when you base your self-worth on work. You accomplish something big, feel good for a moment, and then, just like that, the feeling drains away. You're left chasing the next achievement, hoping it will finally make you feel whole. Here's the truth. Defining your worth by your productivity creates an endless cycle. If you succeed, you feel valuable. If you fail, you feel like nothing. But work isn't meant to be the foundation of your identity. It's just one part of who you are. Stoicism teaches us that our value isn't measured by external achievements, but by our inner character. As Epictetus wisely said, your worth is not in what you do, but in who you are. I remember a time when I thought my value depended on how much I achieved. I would set one goal, reach it, and instantly move on to the next, never stopping to appreciate the progress I'd made. If I wasn't working, I felt guilty. If I wasn't succeeding, I felt like a failure. The worst part, no matter how much I did, it never felt like enough. One day, after finally reaching a long-time career goal, I expected to feel fulfilled, but instead, I felt empty. That's when it hit me. If my worth was tied to my work, I would never feel satisfied because there would always be another goal, another task, another milestone to chase. Why does basing your self-worth on work make you miserable? Because it turns success into a moving target. You never allow yourself to rest, to celebrate, or to feel like enough. And when the inevitable setbacks come, they don't just feel like failures. They feel like personal rejections. Instead of living life, you're constantly performing, seeking validation through work, instead of through who you truly are. Epictetus' wisdom reminds us that real self-worth comes from within. Your kindness, your integrity, your ability to bring light to others, these things define you far more than a job title ever could. Here's how to detach your self-worth from work and find real fulfillment. Redefine your identity. Who are you beyond your job? Make a list of qualities that define you, your character, your passions, your relationships. Learn to rest without guilt. Taking breaks or slowing down doesn't make you less valuable. You are not a machine, you are human. Celebrate yourself beyond achievements. Find joy in who you are, not just what you do. Recognize your worth even on days when you accomplish nothing. Invest in other areas of life. Build relationships, explore hobbies, and nurture personal growth. A well-rounded life is a fulfilled life. Tying your self-worth to work is like chasing the wind. You'll never catch it, and you'll exhaust yourself trying. The Stoics teach us that our value isn't something to be earned, it's something we already have. And as Jesus said, consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. Your worth isn't in your effort, it's in your existence. So, the next time you feel like you need to prove your worth through work, ask yourself, am I filling my life with meaning or just filling an empty jar? Choose to step away from the endless cycle, embrace who you are beyond your productivity, and realize that you are already enough, exactly as you are. If you're serious about mastering balance, hit like and subscribe for more Stoic insights. And trust me, the sixth point is something you can't afford to miss. Number 3, you forget the purpose of work. Have you ever seen a builder so focused on laying bricks that they forget what they're building? They work tirelessly, placing brick after brick, never pausing to step back and see the bigger picture. Then one day they look up and realize they've been building a wall when they meant to build a home. That's what happens when you forget the purpose of work. You get so caught up in the grind that you lose sight of why you started in the first place. Here's the truth. Work is meant to serve life, not consume it. But when work becomes the only focus, it stops being a tool for fulfillment and becomes a trap. You tell yourself, just a little more, just one more promotion, just a bit more money. But if you never slow down to actually live, then what are you really working for? Stoicism reminds us that the purpose of work isn't just to do, it's to create meaning. As Epictetus wisely said, work for a purpose, not for exhaustion. I fell into this trap once. I worked longer hours, skipped vacations, and convinced myself that it was all necessary for success. But one evening, after a particularly exhausting day, I sat down and realized I couldn't even remember the last time I had laughed with friends, taken a walk without checking emails, or simply enjoyed a quiet moment without thinking about work. I was building, but I had no idea what I was building for. Why does losing sight of purpose make work feel empty? Because effort without meaning is just movement without direction. If you sacrifice your well-being, relationships, and happiness in the name of productivity, then all you're left with is a long list of completed tasks, but no real sense of fulfillment. Epictetus's wisdom reminds us that success isn't just about work. It's about living a life that feels meaningful. Work should be a part of your life, not the whole thing. Here's how to realign your work with its true purpose. Step back and ask, what am I really building? Are you working toward a life you'll enjoy, or just filling your time with tasks? Make room for more than just work. Prioritize family, friendships, rest, and personal growth. These are not distractions. They are what make life meaningful. Redefine success. Instead of only focusing on career achievements, measure success by how well you're living your life. Work with intention, not just hustle. Productivity isn't about how much you do. It's about doing what actually matters. Forgetting the purpose of work is like climbing a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. The Stoics remind us that work is just a tool. It's up to us to use it wisely. So the next time you find yourself buried in work, ask, am I building a life or just laying bricks? Choose to step back, find balance, and remember, work is meant to support your life, not replace it. Number 4, you sacrifice health for productivity. Have you ever seen a candle burn at both ends? It shines brightly, giving off more light than usual, but it also burns out twice as fast. That's what happens when you push yourself beyond your limits in the name of productivity. You might feel like you're getting more done, but in reality, you're draining yourself, inching closer to burnout, stress, and long-term health issues. Here's the truth. Society glorifies overworking as if exhaustion is a badge of honor. Hustle culture convinces us that rest is a weakness, that productivity equals worth. But what happens when your body starts breaking down? When your mind feels like a foggy battlefield? Stoicism teaches us that true success isn't about endless work. It's about balance, clarity, and sustainability. As Seneca wisely said, no man is more unhappy than he who never rests. I learned this lesson the hard way. A few years ago, I was caught in the cycle of overworking, late nights, early mornings, skipping meals, ignoring headaches, all in the pursuit of getting ahead. At first, it felt like I was making progress, but then the exhaustion set in. My focus slipped, my body ached, my motivation vanished. One day, I caught myself staring blankly at my screen, completely drained, unable to even complete a simple task. That's when I realized I wasn't more productive. I was just running on empty, mistaking movement for progress. Why does overworking make you miserable? Because it strips away everything that makes life meaningful. Your health deteriorates, your relationships suffer, and even your productivity declines. You become a machine running on fumes, convincing yourself that one more late night, one more skipped break will somehow make the difference. But the truth is, when you sacrifice rest, you sacrifice your ability to perform at your best. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, we crumble under the weight of our own ambition. The Stoics understood that, to think clearly, to act wisely, and to make meaningful progress, we need to take care of our minds and bodies. Here's how to break free from the trap of overworking and reclaim your well-being. Set boundaries. Work will always demand more, but you control how much you give. Set clear work hours and stick to them. Prioritize recovery. Sleep, exercise, and proper nutrition aren't distractions from work. They fuel it. Your body needs maintenance, just like your mind. Embrace deep work, not endless work. Focus on doing meaningful tasks efficiently instead of working longer hours, just for the sake of it. Learn to say no. Protect your time and energy by recognizing when to step back. Overcommitment leads to burnout, not progress. Overworking is like pouring water into a cup with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour, it's never enough. The Stoics remind us that true discipline isn't just about working hard, it's about knowing when to stop. So the next time you feel guilty for resting, ask yourself, am I burning brighter, or am I just burning out? Choose to protect your health, to honor your limits, and to work smarter, not harder. Because in the end, a well-rested mind achieves far more than an exhausted one ever could. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And trust me, you don't want to miss the 6th point. It might change everything. Number 5, you neglect relationships. Have you ever seen a bridge slowly fall apart because no one maintains it? At first, it seems sturdy, able to withstand anything, but over time, small cracks form. Without attention, those cracks grow. Eventually, the bridge collapses, not because of a single event, but because it was neglected for too long. That's what happens to relationships when work takes over. At first, everything seems fine, but the longer you put off nurturing your connections, the more distant the people in your life become, until one day, the bridge is gone. Here's the truth. No success is worth losing the people who make life meaningful. The more you prioritize work over relationships, the more you drift away from the moments that truly matter, shared laughter, deep conversations, simple joys. You tell yourself, I'll make time later. But later is never guaranteed. Stoicism reminds us that we are not meant to live in isolation. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, we are made for each other, to help, not to neglect. I realized this firsthand when I got so caught up in chasing career goals that I barely noticed the distance growing between me and the people I loved. I skipped gatherings, replied with short messages, and convinced myself that my work had to come first. One day, I reached out to an old friend only to hear, "I didn't think you cared anymore." That hit me hard, not because I didn't care, but because I had failed to show it. Why does work obsession make relationships suffer? Because relationships need time and attention, not just good intentions. You can't build strong connections through postponed plans, unread messages, and broken promises. The people in your life need to feel valued, not like an afterthought. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom reminds us that true success isn't measured by work alone. It's measured by the depth of our relationships. Your career can be rebuilt. Lost opportunities can be replaced. But lost relationships, some never come back. Here's how to rebuild and protect your relationships. Make time like it's a priority. Because it is. You wouldn't cancel an important meeting, so don't cancel time with loved ones. Be fully present. When you're with someone, put down your phone, close the laptop, and truly engage. Distractions can wait, relationships can't. Check in regularly. A simple message, a short call, or a small gesture can mean more than you realize. Ask yourself, if I lost everything tomorrow, who would still be there? Invest in those people. Your work won't love you back, but they will. Neglecting relationships is like trying to build a house but forgetting to lay the foundation. No matter how high you climb, everything will eventually fall apart if you don't take care of what truly holds your life together. The Stoics teach us that wealth is found in human connection, not just in personal achievements. So, the next time work tempts you to push people aside, ask, am I building bridges or letting them fall apart? Choose to nurture your relationships, to show up for the people who matter, and to never let success come at the cost of love and connection. Number 6, you ignore the present for an uncertain future. Have you ever been so focused on reaching the top of a mountain that you forgot to enjoy the hike? You push forward, eyes locked on the peak, convinced that happiness waits for you at the summit. But when you finally get there, you realize you missed the breathtaking views, the laughter with friends, the simple joy of the journey itself. That's what happens when you live for the future. Life passes by unnoticed, while you chase an uncertain destination. Here's the truth. Ambition is a powerful tool, but when it blinds you to the present, it becomes a burden. The constant pursuit of success makes you believe that fulfillment is always one step away. But Stoicism reminds us that the only moment we truly own is the present. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, true wealth is enjoying what you have, not craving what you lack. I know this struggle all too well. There was a time when I was obsessed with making it, hustling, planning, grinding for a future where I'd finally feel accomplished. But the more I chased success, the more life became a blur. I skipped small celebrations, brushed off moments of peace, and always told myself, I'll enjoy life later. But then it hit me. What if later never comes? I was so busy preparing for the future that I wasn't actually living. Why does chasing the future leave you empty? Because it keeps moving. You tell yourself, I'll be happy when I get that promotion. Then you get it, and the goalpost shifts. I'll relax when I make more money. Then that becomes your new normal. Instead of finding peace, you find yourself stuck on an endless treadmill, always running but never arriving. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom reminds us that real success is learning to be present. Happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you create by appreciating what's already here. Here's how to stop chasing the future and start embracing the now. Pause and notice the little things, the sound of laughter, the warmth of the sun, the taste of your morning coffee. These moments make life beautiful. Detach success from happiness. Your joy shouldn't be conditional. Learn to celebrate yourself now, not just when you hit a milestone. Practice mindful living. Set daily reminders to slow down, breathe, appreciate, and fully experience the present. Ask, would my future self regret missing this? If the answer is yes, stop and be present. Life's best moments don't wait. Living only for the future is like reading a book, but skipping every page to get to the end, you miss the story. The Stoics teach us that fulfillment isn't something you find later, it's something you cultivate now. So, the next time you catch yourself lost in future worries, ask, am I climbing so fast that I'm missing the view? Choose to slow down, embrace the now, and live fully in the only time that truly exists, the present. Number 7, you ignore the power of rest. Have you ever seen a farmer constantly plow a field without ever letting the soil rest? At first, the land produces a great harvest, but over time, without rest, the soil becomes dry, depleted, and lifeless. That's what happens when you ignore rest. You push forward thinking you're being productive, but eventually your energy, creativity, and clarity dry up. Here's the truth. Rest isn't laziness, it's renewal. In a world that glorifies constant movement, we forget that true strength comes from balance. Without rest, even the sharpest mind becomes dull, even the hardest worker burns out. Stoicism teaches us that stepping back isn't a sign of weakness, it's a strategy for longevity. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, withdraw into yourself, especially when the world pulls you too much. I once made the mistake of believing that the more I worked, the more I would accomplish. I skipped breaks, sacrificed sleep, and ignored every signal my body was giving me. But instead of becoming more productive, I became exhausted. My focus suffered, my creativity disappeared. I wasn't moving forward. I was just running myself into the ground. It wasn't until I embraced rest, true intentional rest, that I realized something. The moments of stillness weren't distractions from progress. They were what made progress possible. Why does ignoring rest make you weaker? Because the mind and body aren't machines. They need time to recover, reset, and reflect. The most powerful ideas, the deepest wisdom, and the greatest strength don't come from non-stop effort. They come from knowing when to pause. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom reminds us that stepping back isn't falling behind, it's preparing for what's next. Rest isn't wasted time. It's an investment in your long-term success and well-being. Here's how to embrace rest as a tool for strength. Treat rest as part of the process. Just like a farmer lets the soil recover, allow your mind and body to recharge. Disconnect to reconnect. Step away from distractions, noise, and obligations. Give yourself space to breathe. Understand that rest fuels action. A well-rested mind makes better decisions, solves problems faster, and stays resilient under pressure. Let go of guilt. Resting isn't a reward for working hard. It's a necessity for living well. Ignoring rest is like trying to drive a car on an empty tank. You might coast for a while, but eventually you'll break down. The Stoics teach us that true mastery comes from knowing when to act and when to pause. So the next time you feel tempted to keep pushing past your limits, ask, am I moving forward or am I just wearing myself out? Choose to embrace rest, not as an obstacle, but as the foundation for everything great that follows. If you've made it this far, comment below. Work smarter, live better. I'd love to hear how you're bringing more balance into your life. And if this video resonated with you, subscribe and turn on notifications so YouTube knows this content is valuable for people like you. It keeps us motivated to create more videos that help you live with clarity, purpose, and peace. Also, don't miss the 2 videos we've recommended for you. They dive even deeper into Stoic wisdom you don't want to overlook. Thank you for your time and support. See you in the next one.